The world didn't collapse with a bang. It slipped quietly when global markets stopped believing in the one thing Washington could always count on: trust. And when that trust broke, something extraordinary happened. The US Treasury, once the safest asset on earth, found itself needing a mascot, a cartoon turtle. And that right there tells you the global order is changing faster than anyone in Washington wants to admit. Because deep down, we can all feel it. This isn't the same world we grew up in. Something foundational has shifted, and you can feel the ground moving underneath your feet. It's like a bridge you always assumed was solid, suddenly swaying in the wind. And here's the part no one's admitting yet. Once the world stops holding your debt, it stops needing your power. And today, the world isn't just drifting away from the dollar, it's running. And the real story isn't about BRICS buying Russian oil or Asia diversifying their bond markets. It's this. The US-led financial order can no longer command loyalty, only compliance. And even that compliance is breaking. And who pays for all this? Well, it's not going to be the officials issuing the debt. It's not going to be the corporations moving capital offshore. It's going to be ordinary people, you and I, the global majority, who are now trapped inside a financial system losing its gravitational center. Because when the dollar loses dominance, prices don't just rise. Entire economies have to reinvent themselves, or at least they have to collapse trying. And here's the twist no one wants to say out loud. The US didn't just lose global demand for its currency, it lost something far more important: the illusion that the world needed it in the very first place. Now, the world is no longer orbiting Washington. New centers of gravity are forming in Shanghai, Moscow, New Delhi, Abu Dhabi, and they're building a global system where the dollar is optional. For decades, US sanctions worked because the world feared exclusion. That fear is evaporating. BRICS nations aren't defying US sanctions. They're building a world where those sanctions no longer matter. Countries are borrowing in euros. They're settling energy in dirhams, trading their own currencies, and designing supply chains outside of the dollar's reach altogether. And Asia's Eurobond issuance is up 75% this year. It's a quiet vote of no confidence. It's like watching a crowded theater slowly empty out while the performer on stage still thinks the audience is applauding. Meanwhile, inside the US system, another fracture is opening. Because every dollar now poured into AI infrastructure is a dollar drained from the real economy. It's like a financial dialysis machine, keeping Silicon Valley alive while the rest of the industrial system loses blood pressure. It's like a body where all the nutrients are routed to a single organ. And that organ grows, but everything else starves. And eventually the system collapses not from weakness, but from imbalance. And that is the US economy in a nutshell right now. And into this imbalance, Washington must issue more than $1 trillion in new debt in just the first half of the year. But the traditional buyers of that debt, they're gone. Japan is buying less, China is reducing its own exposure, and the global south is diversifying. Oil states are hedging against US unpredictability. So who's left to buy? Well, Americans, the domestic market. A system turning inward to fund itself because the world no longer will. And that's not sovereignty, guys. That's isolation. And globally, something even more seismic is happening. Russia, after being sanctioned from every angle, is selling millions of barrels of oil through new trading entities outside the dollar's control. The sanctioned volumes go down. The unsanctioned volumes go up. It's the same oil from the same ports, from the same wells, just a different logo. It's like geopolitical aikido, using Washington's momentum against itself. And BRICS nations participate not out of rebellion towards the United States, but out of their own survival. They see the future. They see what's forming, and they see where the fractures are opening, because here's the uncomfortable truth. Every time a country escapes dollar dependence, US power shrinks a little bit more. China buys Russian energy outside of the dollar. India settles purchases in dirhams. Asia borrows in euros. Banks across the global south explore settlement systems in local currencies. Each one is a hairline crack, but together they form a fault line. So think of it like a tectonic plate that's shifting beneath an empire. You don't notice the movement until the quake hits. And here's the deeper truth behind all of that noise. The dollar system isn't collapsing because of external pressure. It's collapsing from internal contradictions. A financial order built on infinite debt, global obedience, and faith in US stability is facing a world that no longer demands any of those things. Now, the West is discovering that you can't sanction half the planet and expect the other half to wait politely in line. You cannot rebuild manufacturing while draining capital into AI. You cannot raise tariffs without raising global prices. And you cannot maintain dominance while allies diversify away from your currency. And you can't police a world that no longer fears you. The old order isn't dying from attack, it's dying from its own irrelevance. And this is where we stand today. A multipolar world is not emerging. It's already here. The dollar still matters, but it no longer commands. And when the power stops commanding, it begins negotiating. And that is the shift of our era. The West built a system that once shaped the world. The world is now shaping a system without the West. And the next fracture is already forming. It's forming in a moment when a major economy refuses to buy US debt altogether. It's forming in a moment when a global South coalition announces a unified commodity settlement system. A moment when the world realizes the unipolar era didn't end in just one day. It ended quietly while nobody was paying attention. And now the question that will define the next decade is simple. What replaces the American century? And who gets to shape the world that comes after it? All right, guys, do I have this all right? Do I have it all wrong? Please put it in the comment section below. I look forward to reading and replying to all your comments. And thank you guys again so much for watching me here on The Baseline. Okay, cheers, everybody.